Peace. The term ummeeyeena, I found this in 6 different spots. In 278, proof 278 is ummeeyeena. This is referring to the message of people as a whole, right? In 320, el ummeeyeena, again, the message of people as a whole. 375, el ummeeyeena, again, the people as a whole. And in 62.2, el ummeeyeena, right? As referring to the message of people as a whole group, a collective. And then 157, and then 158, it is el ummeeyee. This is referring to the prophet, the messenger himself. Now, the root of this word has several meanings. Mother, source, foundational, ethnicity, community, nation, front, main road, leader, a role model, a direction, setting out, metropolis, or a capital, and so forth. I got these meanings from Abdul Halim's Quranic usage from Oxford University. He don't have the word ethnicity. I have the word ethnicity because he has the word race. I don't like that. I don't like to use the word race for people of different cultures or ethnicity because we're only one race, the human race. I don't think we're different races. I don't ascribe to that. I ascribe that we're one race but of different ethnicities. Okay. Now, this word ummeeyi is translated as illiterate by the Sunnis and Shiite to promote that since the messenger couldn't read or write, how can he come up? How is he able to produce the reading, the Quran? How is he able to produce that and all this literary prowess? And then Edict Yuxul and the Manitheist group, I guess some Quran only followers translated as Gentile, right? Gentile, that they are that these people are not of the children of Israel or Jewish. Then we have like Sam Gerrans. He translates this word as like unschooled, unlearned, or uneducated in scripture, right? Because it states that the ummeeyin is around the Ahl Kitab, those dedicated to the mandate, but they don't know it, and they just have wishful thinking about stuff like that. Something to that effect. But anyways, if the messenger and his people if they are ummeeyi, that will mean all of them, the collective of them, not just some of them. That will mean all of them would have to either be illiterate, could not read or write, all of them, man, woman, and child, or they're all Gentiles, or they are all uneducated in scripture, unschooled in the scripture. So I want to see if these three terminology fit the context, the context of this word ummeeyi, right? So here we have this is about being illiterate, could not read or write, and proof 282. This is about the people documenting or writing loans between each other that they should document it or write it as God educated them to do, or God taught them to do, right? So they should write it down. document it. Document this long. 25:5. The people were saying that the messenger documented or wrote down legends of the earlier people, like for example Moses, Aaron, Joseph, and so forth, and that he wrote them down, and someone is dictating it to him morning and evening. So this is showing you that the people is saying he is writing it down himself, the messenger. So they must know that he could read and write. 29:48. God states that the messenger never read any scripture, any mandate, right? Any scripture, or wrote anything with his right hand. In that case, the doubters would have a reason. So God is saying that the messenger never read anything before this of this sort of nature, or didn't he write it down? He didn't write it down. He didn't document it. 82:11. The noble scribes, or noble documenting, noble scribes. There was documenting the reading, writing it down. And then in 84:21, God states that after the reading is read to them, they don't submit to it. Then we have here in 96:1, God says to read, right? Read in the name of your Lord. Repeats it again, 96:3, read, right? And then in 96:4, the one who educated by the pen, that God educated the people by the pen. So that means that they're able to read and write. So if they couldn't read or write, why are these proofs that stating that they could read and write is there? It would be useless to have these evidence, these proofs there if they couldn't read or write. There would be no point in having that. Oh, he didn't write it with his right hand. Oh, he's writing it down with his right hand, and someone is dictating to him morning and evening. That would have no point if they was all illiterate and couldn't read or write. Because even the Sunni says that some of them were scribes. How could some of them be scribes, but they all are ummeeyeena? They're all supposed to be illiterate, couldn't read or write. Then on top of that, the Muslims say that the messenger and his people pretty much had no calendar. Like they didn't have a way of telling time and stuff, and the months and the years or whatever. So Umar, he came up with a calendar that's supposed to have started from the time of the migration. This is all in their books, from the time of the migration. But to me, the months that the messenger and his people follow is lost. If there's a month called Ramadan, it's lost. No one knows what it is anymore. Umar or whoever they made their calendar, they made it up, put months where they wanted to put months, and that's it. You know what I mean? That's what they did. But here, in proof 2:189, here the people asking about the crescent, so God told the messenger to tell them it is a way to tell time. So the crescent, the moon is how they told time, is how they was telling time. You know what I mean? Like I said in my video, the moon phases. The crescent is the beginning of the month. The full moon is the middle of the month, and the new moon is the end of the month. Okay. Here in proof 2:234. The widow will have to wait 4 months and 10 days before they can engage in another relationship. So this widow is keeping track of the time, you know what I mean? If this widow is following the commands of God, she would have to keep track of the time period, the 4 months and the 10 days before she could, you know what I mean, engage in another relationship. In 240, that the man dies, leave a widow, he should have a whole year of maintenance for that woman. Right? Here in 9:2, God tells the enemies, the ops, to go freely for 4 months. The 4 months are the months and when fighting was not allowed. Right? The sanctioned months. They're not allowed to fight. So you can see that these months are 4 months in a row. Right? Why would God say travel, go freely in the land for 4 months? It would be, say, 2 months here, then they fight. They fighting, and then another month, then another month comes, they fighting, and then the 4th month, you know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense. It would have to be 4 in a row. But yeah, go freely. Go ahead. You know? So 4 months in a row, where the Muslim calendar doesn't have the what they call the holy months. They don't have them straight in a row. Yeah, I think they have two. They have 2 that is back to back, and the other 2 is like spread out. Here in 9:36, God states that ever since God created the skies and the earth, that there's been 12 months, 4 of them are sanctioned. And then in 22:47, God states that a day with God is 1,000 years of what they count. 1,000 years of what they count. That's a day with God. So this tells you that they had a way of calculating and knowing the months. They had a calendar. So we have here Gentile. If the messenger and his people was all Gentiles, why isn't the Christians called Gentiles? Because the Christians nowadays, they say they consider themselves Gentiles. Because a Gentile is a non-Jewish person or a person who is not of the children of Israel. But they're not called Gentiles. Nor the Sabians, the Magians, the Arabs ain't called Gentiles either. Abraham is not called a Gentile. Lot or his people, Salih or his people, the Midian people, Pharaoh and his people, they're not called Gentiles at all. They're not referred to as the ummeeyeena. Only the messenger and his people is referred to as the ummeeyeena, right? And I don't think that the messenger and his people was Arabs. Because if you look at the ayats, the proofs, where the word Arab is used, like in 990, 997, 98, 99, 101, 101, and 120. God is speaking to the messenger as if, when he used this word Arab, God is speaking to the messenger as if the messenger is not an Arab. You know what I mean? That's just what I see. God says the Arabs are worse in hypocrisy. God says not all of them is evil. A group of them do this and do that. If you go through and read it, right? The Arabs want to ask leave of you, or else whatever is being said there, you could go through and read it yourself. You know what I mean? Go through and read it yourself. But you see that when God says the word Arab, why is God talking to Muhammad, talking to the messenger as if he's not an Arab? He's not saying your people, the Arabs, your people. You know what I mean? Your people. But God calls Muhammad's people ummeeyeena or ummeeyeena. However you want to spell it, however the vowels are. I don't care about the vowels and stuff like that. That means nothing to me. But this term, this word is used for them specifically. Now, uneducated, not schooled. As I analyze this term, not schooled in the scriptures, uneducated in the scripture, right? If all of them was unlearned in the scripture, then God gives them a scripture. How can they still be unlearned if they're learning from the scripture? God says about don't follow their vain desires after the knowledge has come to you. So if you're knowledgeable, how can you be uneducated in this if you're knowledgeable in it? That doesn't make sense to me. That at first, they don't have the scripture. They're not educated in it. Then they get the scripture. Now they are educated in it. If you are educated in it, how can you still be called uneducated or unschooled or unlearned? If they are learning it and they educate, teaching other people with it. I don't see how that makes sense. How they could be uneducated and be educated at the same time in this specific area. That's what I found in my research, and that the word ummeeyeena is the messenger, and his people it would have to be the ethnicity. That's the only conclusion I could come up with. Illiterate doesn't fit. It doesn't fit because it's speaking of them writing down stuff and reading stuff. Gentile doesn't fit because why would they be the only one who Gentiles? But not the Christians are not Gentiles, and no one else is not Gentiles except for them. And again, uneducated or unschooled or unlearned in scripture doesn't fit because they have scripture now, they have knowledge, they're being educated in it. So how can they be uneducated if they are being educated? Peace.